This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 68. Let the consumer teach you. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent business or get started the right way, I've created a free jumpstart course for you. It's got a complete plan over there for you, nice wireframe over at freeagentgift.com. That's freeagentgift.com. Get over there, get yourself a copy, get started. In this episode, I want to teach this concept of let the consumer teach you. And what do I mean by that? Well, the first part goes this way. It's the old saying in marketing, especially, give them what they want. And that causes quite a quandary when you're really thinking about home buyers and sellers. Give them what they want. Well, what do they want? Do they want your resume? Do you go down the list? Because I hear that almost every week. Why you? Well, because I have integrity and I'm going to work hard. And I hear all these things that are qualities of the person who's supposed to be the guide, but I don't hear much about what's happening from a perspective of the consumer. What does the consumer who's home buying and home selling really want? What do they want? So I think the most important thing to recognize is start with the obvious. What they want is access to property information. Now, if you go back in the history of times, I've been around this long, where as a young investor, I used to run down to a local buyer agency to read the book with all the pictures and details of the properties as they came out. So the hustler really got paid well back then because you'd be the first one with access to information and you could run out and preview properties, but you had to wait for the book to come out bi-weekly. It was like a almost big, thick magazine is what it was. Well, then subsequently that went up online and the access to information was, hey, come on in and sit down with me. You can see it online. And then ultimately, you know what happened next? We gave it away. And then there's this perception that just because it got given away to the public, it really proliferated by Realtor.com, later on Zillow, and all the tech companies got in the game. And then, of course, all the brokerages, we can give it away as well. And so all of a sudden, what was once proprietary information, access to properties, was no longer. And all of a sudden, I think the agency business, we went brain dead to a certain extent. We're like, well, they can get it out there and we'll just help them when they're ready. And I'm not saying, of course, everybody thought like that. I certainly didn't think like that to the extent that I was still aggressively going after and soliciting business. But times were different. You couldn't make the same offer anymore. You couldn't just say, let me get you a list of properties. Come on in the office. And, and that was the biggie, right? Come on in the office, sit down with me. I'll take down your exact criteria and we'll get started from there. No, I started to hear on the other end. The consumer was saying, that's not what I want. Let that sink in, right? So we had an offer where we used to say, come on, let's come in, sit down 15 to 20 minutes. I'll take down your exact criteria and I'll help you get organized. No, I started to hear no a lot. And I started to question, okay, well, what do they want? Well, they want access to the information right then and there. Hey, I'm calling you about this property and I want to know about that property right now. So we started to give it to them. And it felt awkward for us because we had lost control and we were feeling it slip away. And there was a little bit of a panic. Well, now what? How do you control, quote unquote, that buyer? Well, maybe we should have never thought like that to begin with. And the internet and access to properties became the great equalizer. So we just started giving them what they wanted. Then we offered them direct access to the multiple listing service where they could get automatic updates of properties. Well, now I'm getting a lot of pushback from my coaching members. And when I do my sales training call, I hear people pushing back, but everybody's doing that. And the consumer is saying, well, I'm getting that for 3 or 4 other people. And I said, okay, hold on for a second. It's not just that. See, the cool thing about being pushed by change is it makes you think, if you do this correctly, what's the next level? If everybody can get property information online, the next level is, well, why don't I give it directly to you in the back end of multiple listing service? Well, then everybody starts to do that. Now what do? Well, you question the type of information that you're giving them that gives a little bit more of an edge to it, or it's more insightful. And so a lot of the folks that I coach started to say, well, I have a bunch of off-market properties. Okay, well, if you really do have a lot of off-market properties, good for you, and you can offer to them, but it's still a tiny fly speck of the amount that you could offer through the multiple listing service, right? But you say, but Danny, there's nothing different about that, and everybody can do that. Hold on now. There's an enormous amount of property information out there. Enormous. And the consumer is now left up to do what? Sift and sort through it themselves, interpret it themselves. That's sort of like saying, hey, there's a whole bunch of public information about public stocks. Let's let the consumer figure it out themselves and they'll just come to us when they want to make a trade. Well, that didn't happen in that business. So why are we presuming it happens in real estate where it's even more difficult to compare apples to oranges? It's confusing. So the next part of this podcast today is, what if they don't know what they want? What if they don't know what they want? And what I mean by that is, see, everybody thinks that they want instant and easy access to properties online. Now they can get it on their phone, and they think that they want that, and it sounds good. But what if you knew that they really wanted organized information, information that was most pertinent to them? They want it cleaned up, culled down, refined. Who's going to do that? You. You're going to do that. So now there's the level of service that begins to creep in, layered on top of just simple technology access, which doesn't help anybody do anything other than get more confused most of the time. I'm not saying that somebody savvy with the internet can't sift and sort, but they don't know what they don't know. So even sometimes that they do it that way and say, oh, I'm all set, I did it my way. Really? Did you really know what was going on? And did you just have a few minutes in between your job and not doing your job, and you just sort of picked a few homes and made a quick, impetuous decision? I don't know. Maybe buyers do that. Maybe they don't. But the point is, we as real estate agents are still extremely valuable in making these folks aware of what they don't know and that they probably want. Let me give you an example. If I upgrade the way that I think and say, look, let me give you access to the multiple listing service. Well, 3 other people are doing that. Great. They must be also including sold properties. Huh? And it was interesting today when I was doing a sales training call that the way that I said that confused a few people, perhaps because for real estate agents, it's new. But take a breath for a second and think about this. I'm a buyer consumer, and I know that I want properties for sale. But do I know that I want sold properties? No. But if somebody explains to me, hey, Mr. Buyer, you know why you want sold properties? It will tell you in real time what the money's buying. So whatever you're pre-qualified to spend and put down and all your math, you can look right now in the last 30 days, 60 days, however far back you want to go, and you can see what the money's buying. Don't you want access to that kind of property information? Duh. Of course they do. Of course. Why wouldn't they? Now, on the sell side, that's a no-brainer, right? Going forward, we're saying, hey, look, you might think you know what it's worth, or you might have had an algorithmic check of value. You need refinement. You need to see what sells around you that's most like you from now to when you go to list, so you're up to date. Sold information. So they don't know that they want that. So educate them on what it is and watch how many of them lean in and say, yes, I do want that kind of property information as well, right? And so now you go a little bit further into that property information. Let's say they get the sold information. Yeah, I'm getting that too. Okay. Are you getting off-market properties? Now, here is this real big bone of contention that came up with a lot of the folks that I train who have been taught to offer off-market properties, distress sales, all of this esoteric, secretive, I've got this proprietary thing. See what happened? Like, think about history. Proprietary was you had to come into my office, you're talking to me first, come see the stuff. To all of a sudden it's being given away, what's proprietary? So we started to default to this kind of weird spot, which is a really small segment of the marketplace, distress sales, foreclosures, off-market properties. I mean, really, you'd have to be really, really, really good to offer off-market properties that are far better than the marketplace has to offer. Marketplace has all sorts of properties to offer, and it does have off-market properties. Really? It does. Expireds, canceled, withdrawns, all sorts of things that didn't happen. They're off the market and they're right there in front of you. And in my experience, oftentimes nobody's talking to those folks about a real buyer. You heard me, right? A lot of you are out there thinking, I'll pick up the phone. I saw a script and I said, hey, I have a buyer. Can I bring him over? And you don't really have one. I don't like that. This business gets ugly fast when we start to go down into this weird place offering these off-market properties and these phantom buyers and all this nonsense when all you have to do is state the truth. To any buyer, there are expireds, cancels, withdrawals. And yes, it probably takes you doing some work to go in there, listen to what they want, root it out, show them some of those off-market properties, pick up the phone, track down the seller or the former listing agent, and see if you can get in. It's the hustle. You're a market maker. Get off your duff and show them your value. See, that's why we're still valuable. Algorithms and machines don't do that work you do. Now, what if that's not what you offer at all? What if you don't want to offer off-market properties? You don't have any pocket listings. Well, don't worry about that because that's not a big deal. What is really valuable here is guidance in service. I'm telling you, as I sit here and record this podcast, I've been doing this business and I do it to this moment in time. I don't just teach it, I do it every day. I work with real live buyers and sellers and my own agents at the Griffin Realty Group. I do this job and I am telling you, through our telemarketing and long-term follow-up, we find that the number one thing that people want is not necessarily some amazing deal. Sure, everybody wants a fair deal. Everybody would love to think they got a really good deal. That's right. But what they really want before they even get there is guidance. They want better help. They want better advice. We find that all the time. You can't believe how many people are in a probate situation as an administrator. They're thrilled we just gave them a glossary of terms of what it means to be in that situation. They're thrilled we gave them a list of local attorneys who practice probate and estate law. They're thrilled that we'll be willing to give them a free valuation of the house for asset valuation purposes, whether or not they're going to sell it anytime soon. You just have to be willing to understand that the best offer is not all of this stuff that might be a piece of it. Off-market properties, distress sales, etc., might be a piece of an interesting offer, but ultimately it's your guidance that matters to them so much. This is the single largest financial and emotional transaction most people make. I don't care how many tough guys or tough gals pick up the end of the phone and say, I've done this plenty of times before. Okay, maybe that's not your avatar or ideal client. But in my experience live in this moment in time, I'm overwhelmed by how many people need solid, simple guidance. And that's what you should be offering first, and the rest of it as a part of that service. That's the key. Because here's the next point. They all need your insight. So see, we're learning from the consumer. The point of this podcast here today is let the consumer teach you. So I've been watching this closely. What they want is property information and access to that. Okay? They want that. What they're interested in finding out that they also wanted with your first step in guidance is sold properties. Sure, they're excited if you can add on off-market properties. That's great. But you all offer guidance, and they need what comes with guidance, and that is your insight. What does this mean to them? What does this mean to them? Now, a lot of you rookies might panic and say, well, I don't really know. I'm still learning. No problem. But you can still be this guide that's insightful by seeking out the answers and delivering them back to them. Doesn't mean you have to be the one that's completely insightful. Look, I go to resources all the time and ask for help all the time. Home inspectors, attorneys, etc. Down the list of resources I go to get a more thorough answer, get some more specifics, give me insight that I can share. You're curating insight. You don't always have to have it right off the tip of your tongue, but you just need to be a good guide who can be resourceful as well, because they need that. They need organized guidance. That's the most important piece of the puzzle here. So again, they're teaching that to us. I'm not telling you that I'm dictating this to you and you're dictating you need my insight. You'll be demonstrating this by taking this guidance action, and you'll see they're leaning in. So they're teaching you when they lean in. What did you say about sold properties? What does that teach me as a buyer? Well, it just teaches you what the money can buy. And we can watch as interest rates go up and down, what that does to affect buying power. Maybe it also, as interest rates go up, it might be bad news, but the good news might be that prices are coming down because of that. It's my job to walk you through all that over the next 6 months. Awesome. That would be so helpful. This is what we're really hearing back from people. They're appreciative of that. And they need it. Now, they don't come out and say, whew, I needed somebody like you to show up all the time. But you can watch them and you can see their body language and you can hear it on the other end of the phone. As they're learning from you, you're empowering them and they reward you with more relationship. They lean in. You know that. You all have intuition. You can feel that coming your way by doing the right thing, not by offering some esoteric thing that now you have to go out and create a pocket listing, a fly speck in the whole overall picture of what you could offer, right? Then, as time goes on, this has to be seen as a process. So the last point here is adjust your offer to give a heavy dose of what they want. And that's that demonstration of guidance. That's what I'm trying to say here, that as you give this insight, you're making adjustments based on, hey, I think that I should offer this insightful information. And it's not important to them. See, early on when I started making these simple plans for buyers and sellers, I was enthusiastic about that. I'm saying, this is the way that I will express my insight to them, and I would give it to them, but I was just giving it too early. So my adjustment was, let's stay property-centric for quite some time until they're really ready to accept me formally as their guide. And when I say formally, I'm not talking about signing contracts. I'm just saying they really lean in and say, hey, you know what? I'm getting really close to doing this. Can you really help me now? Yes. But what led to that was us just being patient. So say somebody's inside of 12 months and they want to buy a property, just being patient. Hey, Danny, did you see what's happening in the market? The price per square foot has actually gone up from 301 to 322 on the Cape. So as we go into season, you can see this starting to go up. The good news is, though, interest rates are trickling down. So the inverse relationship there, you can probably afford a little bit more, even though it's getting more expensive, but don't worry about that. Check out a couple of these smoking hot deals. You see those sold? Remember the ones I was telling you? See, there's an example of a smoking hot deal that smashes any upward swing in the average price or the average price per square foot. That's what I'm talking about. See, what I'm doing is I'm demonstrating the guidance. And I might even refer back to a real case that I'm dealing with, or somebody on my team. If you're a rookie, you get these anecdotes and you can tell the stories of others who have gone before these people, accepting you, your team, your company's guidance, and have succeeded. Quite simple. But you're making these adjustments to the order of things to give the consumer the process that they want, all the while not letting the tail wag the dog, meaning what? That you're still in control of the process. I'm not saying everybody will engage in it with you. They might not like you. They might have somebody else that they're affiliated with. They might not be motivated. There's myriad things that can go wrong in getting somebody to do business with you, but you don't need that many to be successful. So you need to learn what the consumer in the digital age wants for a process, not just properties. Okay, let me hit these bullet points again. So let the consumer teach you by this. Remembering the old saying, give them what they want. Give them property information. Don't fight them. Don't put up all these veils and walls. Just give it to them. Just trust that that's the first act. The second one is, what if they don't know what they want? Meaning, give them more insightful property information that they didn't even know they wanted, but they'll love. Sold information, expired, etc. Right? And if that's not what you offer, if you don't want to get into that, remember, it's you and your guidance that you're beginning to offer for free, and they're beginning to appreciate that, because what your guidance comes with is the next point, what they need. And ultimately, as this is all working, you're listening and watching to see, are they going a little bit further? Are they trusting me a little bit more? And if not, let me switch a few things around. Let me try a few things differently in this organization of a process of guidance that I'm giving them, and see if it's magnetically attracting people with me. Now, I will tell you this before I summarize this. This will work for you if you're patient with it. These people will come to you. I just am fresh off a sales training call today where I trained a big team up in Ottawa. They've made this adjustment to be more of a guide than anything else. And it's amazing when you listen to the people that have to do the telemarketing job up front, especially, which is most difficult because it's a small window. They're happier and they're generating more revenue. Sounds pretty good to me, right? And it works for me, but I like to tell you about other people as well. So chunking up the key point here, the real estate industry has become caught up in teaching what it thinks the consumer wants rather than listening and delivering the best and easiest solutions. Listen to what they want, create it, offer it, and adjust your approach based on real-time feedback so that you can win. All right? All right. Remember, you can take immediate action and get started in a better direction if you're already in the business, or start in the right direction if you're new, with our free simple business plan over at freeagentgift.com. That's freeagentgift.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also broadcast our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So remember to turn on the page notifications, the channel notifications, and you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you, so that they can get the help that they need. Thanks for listening. And remember, hey, nobody's coming for you. So go get to work on your own business. See you in the next episode.